Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Hope all is well. On tonight's show, we'd be talking about the title. It's a bit too soon for that. We'd be talking about Granit Xhaka. Is his redemption better than the original Shawshank version? And if you're playing a 15-year-old, if that's the answer, is that really? Do we really need to worry about the question? But we start tonight with Ivan Toney's Brentford, who were crushed by Arsenal this weekend. And to help me go through the pieces is my good friend Stephen Osakwe. How you doing, my brother?
Good, nice and cool, Mike. How you been?
Yes, good to see you, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Obviously we worked together at Arsenal. So thanks for jumping on. So let's jump in two-footed like McTominay. How do you think, what was your take on the actual performance, or the brilliant performance on Sunday?
I think Sunday's performance was full credit to Arteta and the way he set up the team. It was dominant. I think he wanted the team to prove that they were superior to Brentford. And that's not an easy thing to do if you see some of their results so far this season, even going back to last season as well, how Brentford set up as a unit and as a team. Arteta wanted to stamp authority and dominance. We dominated all over the pitch. And I can't see, at no point were they in the game.
What did you think of, obviously, like William Saliba, the way he sort of it's just adapted to football, the life in the Premier League, like a duck to water. I mean, we keep getting told that this guy, we haven't been tested yet, and he hasn't been tested yet, but he's played in France for the last couple of seasons. He's been called up to the French international squad. What do you think about his performance so far?
He's made a massive contribution. He's calm. You don't hear that about many young defenders. Both him and Wesley Fofana, who's now at Chelsea, they're young, they're calm. But Saliba, he's got an authority about him. He's not fazed by the occasion. He's not fazed by who he's facing. From his first game for us, he just looked like a gem. You could see that it's finding the right partner for him. I did think it would be Ben White. I know a lot of fans and a lot of people I've spoken to are not quite convinced on Ben. I rate him highly.
Yeah.
I do think as a partner, it probably is best that he's got Gabriel with him, just because they're two different. One's a ball winner and the other's more of a leader in that sort of role. And I think, in a couple of years' time, you're looking at a potential Arsenal captain, vice captain, if Odegaard is to retain the captaincy as well. So he's a good leader, he's a good young lad, and he's done fantastic, man. You can't argue with it,
No, we need to lock him down, basically, first and foremost. I mean, bit worried that we haven't done that yet. I'll imagine, with all what's in happening, especially with next month, with the amount of games we've got, you hope that we can find time to secure his future before the World Cup, because obviously you can go to the World Cup, have an amazing tournament there, and then all of a sudden, you get the likes of your Madrids and what have you, Bayerns or whatever, try and Barcelona who posted a profit, I think, today of 80 something million, which I don't understand that, but they'll obviously be splashing that in our direction. Ridiculous. So yeah, hope that we want to nail him down and stuff, and try and get him, a good long-term deal. What do you think of, obviously, again, Gabriel Jesus, his performance?
Honestly, I just think the guy is one of the hardest working players that we've got at our club. Before him, I thought Martinelli always worked hard, just didn't have quite the end product. last season, especially because he came from injuries and still settling in, but more because of the injuries and the niggling injuries that he had. But yeah, Jesus works hard. He's non-stop, and it's infectious because the other players around him pick up in it. We've seen a better Martinelli because of it. We're seeing better players around that forward line going, right, I must keep on pressing, I must keep on working. He's still running back to the edge of our box to defend and then nicking the ball and then starting an attack. And other players, because we're a young team, the younger players are seeing that and going, this is what I have to do, because he's a multi-premiership winner. He's won premierships, League Cups, FA Cups, with Manchester City, and he knows the level. So he's saying, this is the level that I'm at. If you want to reach the top level, you've got to reach me on this level.
Yeah.
Not to compare the two, because it's two different sports and everything else. It's that whole it's the whole I like basketball, so it's the whole Michael Jordan thing.
Yeah.
I'm playing at this level. I'm showing you the level that I need to play at. And if you're not playing at, if you're not meeting me at this level, you're slightly here, then you need to raise your game. If we all raise our game to this level, then we win. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Man City a good friend, and he messages me, every now and again, and he's saying, "How do you think, you liking Jesus and everything?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, we're loving him. We can't believe we've got him, really." And he says he's still gutted that he's gone because of what he gave to the team, and we're seeing it, and people like to throw shots at him. He wasn't a starter, and he's a number 9, but that wasn't played by City, who needed a number 9. And but I always take the information from the fans, or he's a season ticket holder, my friend. So always take the views from them rather than a journalist or someone who might only watch him playing a big game, and then they might go and watch another team 3 or 4 times. I'd rather take the views of the season ticket holder who would see that guy week in or week out or every other Saturday for their view on the player. And he was saying he's a great player, and he's gutted that that they've let him go, and we can see it. He's so infectious, his energy, just the way he celebrates his goals. We see here with Saka and the smile on his face and everything. But you always see the serious side as well when after the first goal, where he did it against Leicester. I think he did it against Leicester, where he scored and he got everyone back into like a huddle to say, this is, we've got to reset again. It's 0-0, that whole thing. He did it again against Brentford, and that stuff. Again, like you said, it's infectious. It tells them this is a standard, and this is what we need to do. I've been to places like this, difficult matches away against these type of sides, and we have to raise it and get on them straight away. And fair play to him. He's proven worth every single penny we paid for him. It's just a shame it took so long to get it over the line. It just went on forever, and it was a saga. But just so happy that he's ours.
I think it was one of those things with the whole transfer thing. Yes, it took long for the deal to get done, and I questioned whether or not it would get done, because I always, like every fan, we like a bit of the gossip that goes around, but I never believed the hype until the player's actually there. And for when we signed him, again, I did want. I still think we missed out on not getting a big man as an alternative. And I think I'd mentioned to you before, someone in the mold of a Giroud type player that's just happy to be on the bench and come on and do his job whenever he needs to, because Jesus starts. He's undroppable for our team, and what he brings to our team, especially to our younger players, is that work ethic that you can't. He's got that. That's him, and not something that you've trained into him. That's something that he's got. Same as Martinelli. You look at Martinelli, you go, you've got that work ethic. You want to play, and that's in them. Yes, you can coach it to an extent, but you're just coaching it to manage how you run on and off the ball and stuff like that. So it's a good sign.
What was your thoughts on Vieira? Obviously, he came in for Odegaard. There's a bit of concern at another injury. which sort of landed right before the lineup came out. What do you think of his overall display?
For his first full debut, it's a great performance. There was a tackle that he got, I think, in the first half. I think it might have been Ben Mee.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, let's see how he reacts to that. And he just carried on. He ticked over quite nicely. He didn't do anything too fancy. He was happy to be involved. He was comfortable on the ball, and a well-taken goal. I mean, yes, he said he was a bit lucky as well, but him and Martinelli seem to have a good relationship as well. So that's good. It will help him to settle in. I know people will say that he's maybe not the most physical of players, but it doesn't look like he's shy, if you see what I mean.
No.
He looks like he's here to have fun.
Yeah.
And I remember people saying the same thing about previous players that we've had. Oh, maybe he looks a bit light, maybe he looks a bit small. We look at Santi Cazorla for that as sort of example. But yes, he will still grow because he's still a young lad, and integrating into this young team, it'll be easier for him to find his place and be able to perform. He's done well.
Yeah, I think he'd be all right. I think that Portuguese league is pretty brutal. We've seen what the Portuguese teams are like in the World Cups and European Championships now. They're beasts, man. And if any league or country that produces someone like Pepe, the other Pepe,
I know.
I think he'd be all right. I think he'll be he'll be fine. Probably had a little chuckle to himself with Ben Mee, and obviously he got the better of him, and with that goal he scored. So what obviously the big story of the afternoon and the last few days has been the 15-year-old. Mr. Ethan Nwaneri, if I can. Amazing, really. No one, a typical Arsenal sort of thing. No one knew about this kid really. And the next day, everyone's sort of an expert on him. Oh, yeah, he's been, showing it up. Which apparently he's really been outstanding at the lower levels. But I just wanted to say, Steve, obviously he's 15 years old, which means he was born in 2007. So
we were working at the Emirates.
Can we just take a moment to just process that a second? I'm just going to take a second because.
Just remember, we were working at the Emirates the year before.
Yeah.
We did what, 13, 14 years there.
And another thing as well, when he was born, Saka was at school still. So that just blows my mind, It's unreal. And I was the question I asked at the top, if we're playing a player who's 15, should we be concerned? Obviously, we're not one of these video pods that are going to be negative for the sake of being negative. But does it, obviously it's fantastic for his family and everyone connected to him, all the coaches, everyone's invested time in him to get where he is now. But is that a worry? Is that like a slight reflection on the lack of activity where we should have got maybe an extra body over the line? Or is that just how it is? We just have to deal with it. That's what the league is like now. People are going to be picking up all these injuries, these muscle injuries, these impact injuries. And it's just going to be, we just have to deal with it. Do you think it's going to be, can you see him featuring again? Obviously, even if one or two players come back. I mean, look, I don't know how long Odegaard's going to be out for, but I mean, is it? There's obviously pros and cons in terms of a 15-year-old playing, because he has no fear. But is the worry that there might be a little bit too much attention and adulation on him now, for this kid?
Okay, to answer the first point, yes, it's a big thing that is his age, but it's only a big thing to those that are interested in those sort of statistics. To anybody that's played football, you don't look at the age; you just look at playing football and doing your best.
Yeah.
Even when you would have played as a child and you were playing with the older kids, when you're playing with all the kids that are friends of yours, nobody actually looks at your age. They just look at your ability.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to. That's how you have to look at it.
Mhm.
Yes, he's the youngest ever player. I don't think it was taken lightly. I've always said that we should be promoting our youth as much as possible and giving them minutes as much as possible, even if it is getting them involved in the first team, and having them on the bench when we're 3-0 up, 4-0 up. You know, when we've got an opportunity, give them some minutes, because
Yeah.
it's invaluable experience to them. It gives them that extra little bit of a drive and hunger to go, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be training my hardest because I liked that experience. I liked how that felt.
Yeah.
He is definitely one to watch. All youth prospects are one to watch, definitely. But obviously, when we look at some of the other youngsters that we've got in our squad that we have all been talking about, you know, your Charlies, your Aziz, and a few others, this guy's just sort of come out of nowhere. But the relationship between Mertesacker, Edu, Arteta, and the whole backroom staff, the whole setup basically means that if Per goes, you play this guy, he's going to be fantastic. You trust it, because that's part of the process.
Yeah.
And Arteta is keen to promote the youth players within the Arsenal squad. It's fantastic for the club. All they can do is look forward and just go, okay, wherever possible, we can at least get him in the first team. He's not ready to be playing week in, week out. He's still a growing lad. It's good that he's got his first minutes. I think we will see him again, maybe in the Europa League or the Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, yeah.
But yes, he is a prospect to watch. And with 5 substitutions you're allowed now, he will get minutes. He will get minutes.
Yeah, exciting. Obviously, you know, we obviously we're going to back him and look forward to seeing him. But I think Arteta said in his presser afterwards, you know, it doesn't always go forward from here. It could take 3 steps back, and then before you take another step forward. That, you know, whatever that could be, you know, it could be an injury, could be a loan out somewhere where you maybe the loan doesn't work out. You know, we've seen it in the past with players that have gone out on loan from Arsenal.
Yep.
It hasn't worked out particularly well, but they've come back and they've taken the chance when it's come. So, no, it's you know, exciting times to see how he progresses, and you know, like, you know, Charlie Patino, he scored at the weekend as well. So,
yeah.
It's the academy is definitely producing some top boys at the moment, and one of the top boys, or the key top boy, is our captain, which is Xhaka. I mean, just a word on his performances this season and just how this guy has just come back from, you know, literally going out the exit door. I mean, I was it was like a roller coaster thing when he came in. I think we thought he was the man. You know, we finally got the defensive midfielder. You know, he scored a couple of goals, I believe. He scored one in the cup, in the Carabao Cup, whatever it was then, against Forest. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, and then it started to sort of slowly unravel. You know, he started to pick up yellow cards, or what have you. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on his performance and just how seems to be, you know, just undroppable at the moment in terms of what a leader he is for the team?
I will start by saying I was one of his main critics. Okay, when we first signed him, I didn't know much about him, so that's on me, innit? But we signed him, and I thought, okay, well, Wenger signed him, and I thought, okay, well, if Arsene trusts him, yes, we needed a bit of steel in the middle of the park. With every player, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart here, with every player that plays for any club, if that player has chosen your club to come and play for you, they will give you their all.
Yeah.
Here's the difference: when you're played in the wrong position, you can't perform.
Yeah.
You will do your best to perform, but you can't perform. Under Arsene, he was okay, he was doing well, but I think Arsene had a different role for him, and didn't probably understand what his best qualities were. He wanted him to do something that he wasn't comfortable or used to doing. I'm not saying that Arsene got it wrong. Arsene got it right. I just think because of how the squad was,
Yeah.
It just meant that he had to do something that wasn't what he would usually do as a player. Arteta, as under Emery, it was the same sort of situation. It's like, okay, yeah, he's going to be our defensive rock, and it just was never the case that he was going to be the main defensive midfielder. He was played at left back. He's been played left wing. Wherever he plays, he gives his all. But unfortunately, for a period of time, because he was being played in the wrong position, he wasn't. We were not getting the best out of him, which is why I'm never the one to blame the player. I'm the one to blame the manager for not getting the team around him. Arteta's come in and he sorted that out.
Yeah.
Last season, he had some great games. Yes, he'd still had the odd bad game, but if you look back on it, you'll notice that those bad games were in games where there's no party, for example, and there's nobody there to be that extra cover for him, where he has a bit more freedom, or he's played at left back because Tierney was injured. He's played at centre back because somebody else has come off injured or somebody else has picked up a red card. He's being shifted about. No player wants to be shifted about like that. Every player at the top level wants to play in their best positions. The teams that win the most trophies over periods of time, whether it be a league, a cup, or a World Cup or Euros, have their best players playing in their best positions. And they don't compromise, and that's why they win. Xhaka's done fantastic. He still has an odd moment in him. I still think refs treat him harshly as well.
Yeah.
And
the yellow card at the weekend was a bit silly. If he just had a look up, he would have seen that we had cover. He didn't need to do that. But again, that's the Xhaka tax at the moment. He just gets it straight away.
Something like that is not a bad thing, because even if he did have a look up and he wasn't quite sure, he stopped play. And usually, yes, you can say there's players in front of him, but we know how quickly a break can happen. And from 0 to 3 seconds, it could be in the back of the net. So he's just got to stop the play. It's a silly one, but I don't begrudge him for those ones. The ones that I do begrudge him, or the ones that frustrate me as a fan, are the ones where you go, okay, there was no need. Like literally, there was no need. Something like that is, yes, you get a booking for it. You go, okay, well, I stop play. Like I said, we wanted a clean sheet and we wanted to dominate. And like I said, Arteta must have wanted Brentford to understand that we're the Arsenal and we're going to dominate you. Okay, so that was the message. I'm pretty sure that would have been the message. You go out there, you dominate them, you don't lose this game.
Yeah. Hopefully, we've got, he's definitely got quite emotional after the game with the fans singing the song about him finally, and I think there was an interview he did where he had a choice, winning the Champions League with Arsenal, winning the trophy with his country, and he chose Arsenal in the Champions League. So it's just amazing how this guy was almost out the door, almost going to Roma. And and obviously Arteta pleaded for him. At the time we were going, obviously going crazy. He said, let's just let this guy go. Maybe not for the amount of money that they were putting on the table, but I think that we had the point people were saying, enough, let's just cut our losses with him. And it's just amazing how he's produced. But again, as you said, he's in a position where a coach sort of gets it and gets his position, gets him mentally as well, gets him in terms of what he's like. Obviously he's talking to a guy that was a more attack-minded midfielder before he came to Arsenal, and then refined his game to be more defensive-minded. So there's some similarity there in their pathways. But no, Arteta gets him, and he's a key, massively key in going forward in the way we attack down that side of the pitch. But no, I mean, the good thing is that he's going to hopefully, touch wood, he comes back from the international break fit and ready to go for the game that's going to be coming up, the big one, which we're going to talk about just after this. So before that, we'll, as what we like to do, just have a look at the league table, which, is obviously pleasant reading. Still there at the top. Just that flip against United, which obviously could have been so much better. If we were a bit more focused. But obviously, the key thing for me is the next games in the round. Obviously, United have City, and obviously we have our neighbours. So there could be, if things work out in our favour, we could stretch a little bit the gap that we have. Obviously, I think people are starting to maybe talk about us being in a title race. Not for me. I'm still looking at just securing that fourth spot, and anything else is a bonus. Fourth spot, and ideally, and hopefully, like a really good crack at the Europa League, because I think the teams that are in it, we're probably one of the strongest ones, and obviously we have to wait and see who drops down. But Thomas Frank was talking about us being in a title race. I mean, is that just him deflecting from his team's performance, the way that they were beat? Do you think, Steve, or do you think there's an element of truth in that? Because with 7 games in, we normally look at the league after 10 games, and that gives you a snapshot of what you think is going to happen for the remainder of the season. But what's your thoughts on that? Is it just a deflection, or is it just a stick for me? I think it might be a stick for people to beat us with if things slightly start to go wrong. Oh, look, they're in the title race, and now look at them. Sort of, which we've seen happen before with last season with the Champions League.
I don't think Thomas Frank was deflecting as much, because he comes across as a pretty honest and fair judgment type of guy. He will go on and say, look, the team I just faced are a top team. I think where the thing that sort of takes us out of that title race is our squad depth. The amount of injuries we get is it's still unreal. Like I said, I still don't get how we have so many injuries. It's just crazy, and it's not down to anything. It's just unfortunate with injuries. You can't predict players that are going to be injured. But I think that's what will ultimately just hold us back a bit. When you look at City's side, for example, they have literally 2 players for every single position.
Yeah.
We have 2 players for most, but not all. And again, I'm happy with this. Like I said, I'd rather promote the younger players as much as possible and give them a chance. Because they're homegrown players, and we need to see our homegrown lads come through. So it gives the fans more of a boost when they're one of your own. We look at Saka for that, Emil Smith-Rowe, how they've come through the youth setup and they've now broken into the first team and they're doing fantastic. And long may that continue. It's great if you can get 3 or 4 homegrown players that have been through your youth ranks, come through the Hale End and come out onto the pitch at the Emirates. They give you a strong core and a backbone. The title talk for me, even at the beginning of the season, I said, look, you can't rule out City because they're City and they've got Pep and they've got the resources and they were signing Haaland. You can't rule out Liverpool because Liverpool has finished second every other season apart from that one season they finished first ahead of Man City. The COVID season when no fans were there.
Yeah.
But you can't rule them out. They look a bit poor at the moment. They're missing Mane, but that's them. That's their problems and whatever else. As much as I hate it, Chelsea, you can't ever rule them out. They always seem to do well. And I'm going for my predictions at the beginning of the season and not necessarily now. But Chelsea always do well because they spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Tottenham had a front three of Son, Kane, and the Swedish guy. Yeah, and they've bought Richarlison as well, so they've got a strong attack. And I said, you know what, you can't rule them out. I said, Man United will be unpredictable. I think they're going to be as unpredictable as we were when we were going through the start of our process. Because they've still got a couple of players there, like Phil Jones from Alex Ferguson's era. Yeah. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
So they've got a long process to go through. But again, you can't rule them out. And then you've got us as well in that mix. I'm not saying that we're last in that mix. I'm just saying we're in that mix.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take out the top two and you go, right, there's 4 teams that are vying for 2 positions.
Mm-hmm.
My idea was fourth is a realistic one, but it's not a deal breaker for me with Arteta. If we came 5th, and again, this was at the beginning of the season, because we still got a young squad. They're still learning together. They're still growing together. They're having fun, which is why the fans are responding to it. They're having fun, so the fans are having fun, and it's just fun to be around. So we can go down that route and talk about things later. We needed a couple of extra players, in my opinion, just to make us that would have made us contenders. I think, and again, I get what maybe he's trying to do, but another winger to hopefully take a bit of the pressure off Saka. We needed somebody in the middle of the park. Matt Turner, unfortunately, he's only had the one game, so I'm not going to judge him on that one game. It's still settling for him. I think American keepers in general do well. They're not bad keepers overall, because they understand the ball to hand catch sort of thing anyway.
It's just his nerves and him taking processing. He's at a massive he's at a massive club and he's a fan as well. So it's just the mental side of things. I think against Zurich he had a couple of hairy moments, but again that's just down to nerves and everything. So I think the more he plays on, and he's kind of fortunate that there's a few games coming up. Obviously the next month, I think he'll obviously iron those nerves out a little bit. But obviously we've got the national break now, and obviously when we resume, we've got Tottenham at home. It's a bit early to be talking about it being like a massive 6-pointer, but in terms of just the confidence and going forward, maybe again a bit like the Brentford situation, exercising some demons, going there and putting in a good performance and beating them on a place where we had a bad performance. We're playing them on our patch where we had a really good performance, good first half performance, I should say, against them. And obviously with what happened at their place, still fresh in the mind. I mean, obviously the danger, obviously for me, would be obviously that, like as you mentioned, they're attacking 4 on the counter. But do you feel, how do you feel we would approach that? Would it be more the possession, the way we're playing at the moment, or will he adjust his his system a little bit, or will he just go for it like he just trying to impose ourselves on like we did at the Emirates last year?
My mind says we'll be a bit conservative, and I think he'll try and play the game and not necessarily play the team, if you see what I mean. But it's fine. Like I said, it's fine. He's going to go out there and say, win the game.
Yeah.
He's going to say, keep the ball. Don't give away any sloppy balls. Don't lose possession easily. They're going to come and press. They might sit back a little bit. Remember the United game. They're going to sit back. They're going to soak up the pressure. They're going to try and hit us on the counter-attack. Just be alert to that. But he's going to say, win the game. I don't think he goes out there and goes, get a draw.
Yeah.
Or don't lose the game. He says, win the game. And from the Amazon series, it was always win the game. It wasn't go out there and get a draw, regardless of whoever it is.
Even Liverpool, even when we played Liverpool, the way he was like that as well. So
and that's the thing. It's that belief in the players and their ability to do that, and I think that's what he will do, and that's how he will set out his team to go and win the game. From the things to learn from the United game is just to remember, Tottenham will try and hit you with a sucker punch on the break. They have that sort of ability with Son, because he will just run in behind and win those balls and stuff like that. So it's just being smart and aware. But like I said, we're at home. We usually do well against them at home. It's only in recent years that even away from home that we haven't got much change from them. So
Yeah.
I'll be happy. I'll be happy to just say go for it and win the game.
Yeah, fingers crossed again. It's got these international breaks, right smack bang in between it. So it'll be interesting to see who comes back fresh, and hopefully, Saka could believe something on Kane in one of the training matches or something like that, because otherwise he's guaranteed to get a penalty, like he normally does as well. But yeah, that's to come. Obviously, we'll talk about that a little bit closer to the time, but obviously just to shout out to the Arsenal women as well, who had a great start to their season,
4-0.
and it was great that the rivals dropped a few points as well. Chelsea
lost.
and City. I think they're joined at the moment, aren't they? In the Champions League game. And obviously they had their North London Derby at the weekend as well, which the missus is going to. So hopefully it could be a double Derby delight, hopefully.
Should be a good turnout for that. About I think there's about 45,000 tickets.
Tried to get tickets for that. Yeah, I tried to get tickets. I wanted to get them club level with the kids, just so we could sort of do it. But it was impossible. They was all dotted around all over the place. But we try and go to one of the other ones, because I want to try and get the kids there, but try and get them to get a feel of it. But maybe women's game might be a little bit more, not as intense and as tribal as another game would be, so we'll try and get them down there eventually. But no, just wanted to say that's probably the end of the show. Just want to say thank you, Stephen, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been
great stuff.
A pleasure.
Great insight. We'll be back next week with a little bit of probably a build up towards the big one, the big game. And any other news that comes out we can discuss, but just hope our boys can be wrapped in cotton wool, not pick up any knocks or injuries, and we can continue the great start to the season. So I've been Michael Harris. He's been Stephen Osakwe. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe, and up the Gunners.
Who knows?
You know who made it.